Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Yo.
What's up, man?
I started typing out first, but then I gave up. There's like 3 people already.
Yeah, it's not even worth it at this point, is it?
Nope.
People still trying to claim for Josh, look, I just have to ask you something right off the bat. Would you rather have the career of Charles Barkley or Robert Horry?
Charles Barkley.
Okay, all right.
We've done that on
Sometimes
this show before.
we have done this routine.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like we've asked that exact question because it's the perfect comparison or the perfect player choices, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. All right. There was a clubhouse debate going on before this, and it was like a handful of Robert Horry guys, and I was holding it down for the round mound.
And that's not even including the fact that Charles Barkley's made this amazing career post playing days, right?
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we won't go into it now. All right, let's go. All right. Welcome to the crossover. Today is Friday, June 16th, and do we have mail days? Do you have any mail days?
Yep.
I got a few as well.
Go for it.
Yeah, you have some giant mail days. All right. I just have 2. Here's my first one. First one. I was waiting on this from a vault for a while. So this is the 2020 Prism Gold Jokic. And then what we got here is 2018 McCaffrey 1 of 1. Majestic, whatever that is. Panini Majestic Football. 2nd year McCaffrey 1 of 1.
You just saw the 101. You're like, I don't even know what this is, but I need it.
Yeah, and it was just at auction, and I was just like, well, I'll just throw a bid on here.
How many of those Jokic's do you have of that year now?
2.
Because you didn't seem like super thrilled, so I kind of figured it was a duplicate.
Well, I was thrilled for the first 3 to 4 weeks after I bought it.
Right. That kind of wears off.
And then it finally got here, yeah, so.
Oh, wow. If our show ends soon, Sam says, if our show ends soon, we should go watch the 06 Exquisite Rip.
Who's ripping that?
Sam Nubani.
Oh, I didn't even see that message come.
He's trying to compete with our show, so good luck.
Good luck, Sam.
Good luck, buddy.
Do you remember when we watched a live while we were live and commented? This was like years ago.
Chris Ocean's live?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we could do that tonight if you want. He's ripping a case of 06 Exquisite. So
That doesn't take that long either, right? It's just, yeah.
What's the first thing you think I thought of when he posted that?
Number pieces?
I thought, if you pull LeBron, please sell it to me.
Yeah, Sam, that's the trade-off. If a LeBron gets pulled, you have to give it to Josh.
I think I have all the 06 ones except for the emblems of endorsement, which is at a 15. I have all the others.
Damn. Nice.
Going live, 2 minutes. Good luck, man. We'll keep an eye on it.
Good luck.
Can we just take a moment though and say what the hell, Sam? You came on this show to advertise that you were going to be competing against this show.
Well, I guess we also fell into that and promoted it ourselves. So let's go. Let's see that mail day, Josh.
All right,
Multiple mail.
Thank you. PSA return. This one, so I've already seen that one from last week. The world's best 9 auto on the planet is right here. You're seeing it.
Nice.
All right, these are new. 2008 Bowman Chrome Gold. LeBron PSA 10 Pop 2. These are out of 50.
Let's go.
Pop 2. Let's see. This is a fan favorite. I did not know how many people like this set. I thought it was just kind of an odd insert set, to be honest. But comments really, like, people seem to really like this set. Did you know
Nice.
about that? I didn't know that. I thought these were just.
It is cool though. It's the only one, right?
Yep. And it's it's like the Mickey Mantle, 52 tops. I get it. It's kind of neat.
That's sick, man.
And then my favorite one. This is from 06. He might pull this.
Woo. What would you do if you pulled that?
I would say, is your patch better than mine? Let's figure something out.
That would be ridiculous if you pulled that.
Yeah, that would be slick. There's only 23 of those. That's going to be tough. And I've been told that 06 is pretty rough coming out of the boxes, like condition-wise.
Yeah.
So.
Will you be crossing that prior to the national?
I barely had the willpower to hold it until tonight.
That thing's going out tomorrow morning, isn't it?
I have the shipping label packed. I have the PSA form signed and ready. It's gone.
All right, we already have an early title contender. Is your patch better?
Let's talk.
Okay, we actually do have several card ladder announcements this week.
We do?
We do? Yep, we do. Let's go.
Is this going to be good or bad? It's all right.
So Josh is, for the podcast listeners, he's turned his camera to show his collection in card ladder.
Yeah, so first thing you can notice probably is that for the grid view on web, we got rid of all the stats and all the data and just made giant images. I personally like this better. It's like this on mobile. If you want to switch over to stats and data and sorting, you've got list view. But if you want just giant pictures, because I'm a big fan of like the Flickr style where they're just like giant walls of card images. So I think this will appease some people. Some people might not like it. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think? You like it better?
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. I just love to just go in there and see the cards as large as possible. I'm just in there to scroll my cards digitally.
Right. Next is if you're familiar with like the customized estimate options of how you value your card, because there's like 5 options on how to do it these days. It gets a little frustrating to know which card you set up with which option. So now on the profile, I add this little pill here that'll show you how you did it. So this one was an index and a manual sale. Index, manual sale. This one's a custom sales query. So you can set up different things for each one. If you click on it, it'll let you change your style.
Nice.
Some people have requested that to show up on this view so they can see even quicker. So I'll probably work on that next.
Sick.
Because I think people are like thinking they want to convert over to a specific type and they don't know which ones they've done it for and which ones they haven't. I think that's the thought.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's see, we got more. Next, shop, we added Golden Marketplace. So we've had Golden Auctions and now we have Golden Fixed Price in the shop feature. So that's been live a few days. I think there's about 10,000 items in there from that.
That's pretty good.
Some pretty big cards. Look at that.
Ooh, that Dirk is nice.
So that's added, and then let's see. I think we got one more. Indexes. This is probably like a minor thing, but I like saved all of the things that you're doing on the indexes page. So before, like if you left the page and came back, it would like reset you to here, and you lose your sort and everything. So basically, when you leave this page, it saves everything. Because like I was researching, comparing different players, and then I would like click on a player and then go back, and it would like be back to total. So that's fixed. That was annoying me.
For sure. No, yeah, that makes complete sense.
And then Christina's gonna mute me, but we're gonna add some new data to the dashboard.
Yep. That's all right. All I said is we're adding some new data. I'm very excited about that data being added.
She already told you. You're getting all excited now.
Yeah, no, I know what it is. Yep.
All right. That's all.
What about, do you want to say anything?
I had to tell him, Josh, because you've been making fun of us for so long about you'll tell one of us something and then you have to tell the other because we don't talk to each other. So I made sure, knowing that it might come up today, that he wasn't in the dark, and then ask you for more information on the live.
Mm-hmm.
I just picture you like really into him and like screaming at his face. This is what's changing. What you told me.
Do you want to talk at all about like this only it probably impacts a few people, but the sales history upgrades as well?
Yeah, so we got some reports. I noticed our live count has dropped. Thanks a lot, Sam.
I have Sam's on in the background, so if he pulls anything good, I'll show.
Good. Thanks. I had a few people message me saying like they noticed some sales from eBay slipping through and not showing up in sales history. So I spent a couple of days trying to shore that up. So I went back the last 3 months and like made sure I grabbed a lot of the missing ones, and then I put in some changes to make sure we don't miss any going forward. So you guys should see an improvement on a much larger percentage of the eBay sales showing up in sales history. If you're still seeing anything, let me know, but it should be like much, much better. I would say we were at like 90%, and now we should be up to like 99 point something.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. The first box produced a Jordan Farmar card. I think that was the best card.
Dude, I have just not big enough balls to open something like that. Would you?
No, I would not. I mean, we've opened some pretty stupid boxes.
Christina has bigger balls than both of you because she would open.
Like, okay, all right, let's go around the room. What's like the maximum of a box value that you would rip?
Well, the maximum box value I feel comfortable ripping is around $300. That's getting at the upper limit for me, which is what Optic, the newest year of Optic basketball, goes for, which is pretty nice. It's pretty nice to be able to open stuff at that price. But I mean, Christina and I have opened 2018 Prism hobby boxes when they were worth a few grand at least. So.
We also opened a case of 2018 National Treasures on release day.
That was worth about $4,500. That case.
That was a fun video.
Yeah. When we got Kostas Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I remember that you got the Mavs and you're like, oh god.
Yeah. Somehow we didn't learn our lesson over all those years. All right. Let's get to some questions here. So, Drake's PC comes up first. His question is, what advice do you have for those who are cardboard rich but cash poor going into the National? Is it better? And he pulled a curveball on you.
Yeah, I was like, what advice do you have for him?
Is it better to sell things now or bring them to the show hoping to trade or sell at the show?
That's a good question. I would probably sell the liquid stuff and keep some of the rare stuff as trade bait.
Yeah, the thing I was thinking about here, and it's partially just me, but I kind of find it hard or awkward to just kind of go up to somebody and be like, hey, I have some cards, do you want to buy them or trade? I find that to be difficult. I also find it to be inefficient as well. Like if I want to sell a card, I'm probably going to get the strongest offer if I get it in front of the most eyeballs. So I would probably look to round up some cash if I need cash by selling online marketplaces. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, that's how you and I usually do it anyways. I kind of want to change my answer though and say if you're yeah, because I kind of want to at least like play through the question, instead of just saying sell everything and bring cash. If you are going to keep some stuff, maybe keep cards of players that dealers feel more comfortable taking on. Like, for example, I know Drake has a lot of Drew Brees stuff. That's probably less likely to be taken on by a dealer than, say, like a Tom Brady or a Michael Jordan or a Kobe or something like that. So usually it's tougher for dealers to take on specific, like niche players. So if you're worried about using that as trade bait, maybe sell some of that stuff.
Yeah. Do you find it challenging to sort of approach dealers or approach people at trade night? Yeah, it's a struggle for me as well.
You just, especially when you look at their keys and you're like, hey, do you want my Mikal Bridges card? And they're like, what? It's weird.
Yeah. And then you never really know. I mean, and then once I get engaged into a back and forth, it's like, then they make an offer, and then I'm just like, I feel bad walking away if I had them put in the time to figure out what they should pay for it. It's just, it's awkward.
It's also so painful to be like, they ask you what's the value, and you're like, 10 grand. They're like, I can give you 6. And you're like, well, that doesn't feel good to to take 60% of what I think it's worth.
No, definitely not. I don't think anything good was hit in this case.
Is he done?
We're on the last card here.
In the last box?
Yeah. Well, how many? There's 3 boxes in the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was nothing.
I was watching an episode of Cajun Cardboard. He was doing a recap of the Golden 100 or the Golden 50, and the sealed case of 03 Exquisite sold for like $325K, and an individual box sealed sells for $50K. And he was like, "Why is there like a 2.2x premium on the case?" And I answered, I thought it was because like sealed cases carry a pretty nice premium to have it all kind of contained in one nice case.
Yeah, I think.
Case hit?
Right. Yeah. I think it. Man, Carvin would not be pleased at what I'm about to fumble here, but I'm going to try. I believe that the RPAs were configured on a per case basis, and so if you have a case, you're ensured that you'll get at least an RPA maybe or something to that effect. I don't think that's exact, but if you just have a loose box, it's possible that it came out of a case that already produced a big card.
Got it. I was thinking also more in terms of if I'm paying 300 grand for a sealed case, I'm probably not doing it to just like buy it and rip it and make money. Like I'm buying it as an investment into the case. So if that were the fact, I think it would be pretty cool to own a full case. Like I would pay more for that than 3 boxes separately.
Right.
I think that would be cool. Because remember that whole scandal? It obviously turned out to be G.I. Joe cards, but like the Pokemon case was like a big deal because you never see cases. You never see a case. You always see boxes of that. So it's like, wow, a whole case. Holy smokes.
Yeah, plus I like what Jason F. Young 77 says. He says the bigger question is basically why wouldn't you just get a LeBron RPA for the same price?
For 330 grand? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're paying that much, you literally are like collecting a sealed case. Like, you think that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's one other related topic here that came up in the chat from a few people. So JGP Collectibles says you should sell your cards now before the National, so you have enough money that you don't have to share a hotel room. And Pat Nicholson says going to the National with planning to split a hotel room 5 ways and sleep in the closet. Should I be banned from the hobby? Well, first of all, is anybody sleeping in the tub? because the tub, I think, would be the first choice after the beds.
It's cool. It's nice and cool in there.
What happens if someone has to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and then you're sleeping in the
Close the curtain. Just close the shower curtain.
No, thank you.
Okay, there's a second exquisite case going, so I'm just keeping an eye on this for us. We'll just be like the Sports Center. We'll be like the highlight reel. Somebody said, I just watched a man light $60,000 on. Oh no, here Hall of Fame says I watched a man lose $60,000 in a few minutes.
Jesus, what worries me about box ripping is that when you go through a box and it's bad, you get frustrated. You think like, oh, the next one's gotta law of averages. The next one's gotta save me. So then you like go and open the next one and you just kind of get double buried.
Right. Exactly.
Five people stood in the room. Was that the worst take you've ever had on national?
We can always do worse.
Like not bringing your phone charger might be worse.
Yeah. Wear comfortable shoes.
I heard a rumor that someone once didn't even have a room for the entire week.
That I think people have done that. They've stayed in their. I mean, look, it can be expensive to try and get those hotel rooms, man.
What's his name? Rodman? Like every night he was at the show like, hey, what's your room situation? They're like, why do you ask? No reason. Hey, can I stay at your place?
I've split a room with Christina every national, so.
Yeah, we can't afford 2 separate rooms, so.
Yeah. That's tough. All right. Thank you, Drake, for that question. All right, next question. A few national questions here from Basketball Card Collector 93 says, I'm wanting to grade cards at the National. What is the turnaround time typically?
Well, you could drop off orders and then have them ship it back to you when you get home, if it's like a longer one. But they offer, within the show turnaround times. I think they've got them ranging from like, you'll get it back at the end of the show on Sunday, you'll get it back in 2 days, you'll get it back the same day at the National, right? It depends on the value of the card and the grading company, but they all definitely offer, the option to get it back before you go home.
Indeed. I discourage everybody from grading cards at the National because I would like mine to be graded faster. So that's my official advice on that topic. Oh, and I saved the best for last.
I'm getting texts from that right now.
LSU Tiger Collector 65 only pops up with questions on this topic. So this is kind of like his expertise. Will we see a pre-national bump for shit beasts and or crypto dick butts?
I was waiting for the question of like, do prices go up pre-national? Like a cyclical question. But no, I think we should definitely give one last attempt to get those babies up before national, the crypto dick butts and the shit beasts.
Well, I had somebody DM me when I shared that to my Instagram story as one of the questions for tonight. And he said, I'm tired of you trying to associate shit beasts with crypto dick butts.
Wow.
So, I mean, my bad. We're not, look, we understand there's levels to this.
Is this turning into like an MJ LeBron debate? Like you can't like both, you gotta like pick one, you gotta fight to the death to defend them?
No, because I think people would be fine if you put MJ and LeBron together. I think this guy's saying this is like a scrub versus MJ.
Oh, I see. Wait, which one's the scrub in his? Which one's he saying is the good one?
I think the shit beast is the terrible one. I think the shit beast is the one that basically went to zero, and the crypto dick butt is the one that's been holding tight.
For obvious reasons. It's obvious why that was the one. It's obvious that, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Yeah, we don't need to explain that to our enlightened
No. Our advanced audience.
All right. Still, I don't think anything has been hit yet in this break. George, let me know if anything good comes out, man. I know you're using multiple devices right now. All right. Enjoy Cards IG. With a longer question, but a very good one. I've been pondering my collector development and my investor development. My hobby puberty wasn't that long ago, but I feel like it is passing rather quickly, and I'm moving into my not a teenager but not an adult phase of my collector life. It's kind of exciting because those years were some of the most fun years of my life. I made some really good decisions that set up the course of my life for years to come. I'm in my 50s now, and I made some really huge fuck-ups. Now, I know I probably should have found more people with life experience that I respected and learned from them. So, if the early 20s collector version of myself could talk to the 50 to 60-year-old version of myself, I wonder, what would the wiser collector tell to the younger collector? So same question for you guys. If your wiser, more mature collector could talk to your younger coming-of-age collector, what would the one say to the other?
We're gonna have different answers on this probably.
Yeah, that's good.
Mine is like patience and not feel like the need to just buy something at any given point.
Sure.
There's always a desire, like, hey, I haven't bought a card in a month, or I haven't prospected anybody, and I see a lot of other people prospecting. I feel like I need to get in on the action, and I think at least that's the mistake I've always made, is I'll just buy something before really like letting it sink in for a while. I just sort of like buy stuff, and then I get into the weeds of, oh crap, now I got to own a lot more of this, or I got to finish this run or this set or whatever, and there's no turning back. So probably just like having more patience up front.
That's good. That's a great answer. I don't have a good answer to this, so I like that. Just the idea of you got a long runway ahead of you, so you don't need to panic and feel like you have to build your whole collection this month.
Right.
You can you can grow from there.
Well, I thought you were going to take it of like overpay for the one-on-ones right away, because you regret it later. You didn't get all those cards.
I don't think you need to be super wise. I don't know. I guess like one thing. There's really nothing, because the thing that you acquire as you get more wise is not just like a shot in the arm. It's like it's tons of information, and it's a feel, and it's being able to understand what cards are worth pouncing on when they surface versus which ones you can wait for. So I don't know. That's a tough question.
Yeah,
it's a good question though. So I'll be thinking about that question.
It's like you can only get the experience by having experience and spending time doing it. You can't just shortcut it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. Okay, Vinny Slagarino says, always enjoy the show. What is the longest you have gone without checking eBay for cards to buy? Do you think there's a benefit? Is there a benefit to taking some time off and coming back with a fresh perspective? I'm not talking about it from an addiction perspective, just from a curating your collection perspective. Thanks, Vinny.
Well, this one's easy. I'll just go look at my watch sleep tracker, and whatever is the longest sleep I've had in the last 5 years, that'd be the longest time.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Okay, what about...
Yeah, the chat's all over that. 8 hours when I sleep.
What if you rule out those 8 hours?
I don't know. Probably there's probably days, I would say, like an entire day where I don't get to my phone until the end of the night or something. So maybe, especially like the National, or where you're wrapped up and stuff. So honestly, it's never really, he's probably asking is it like a day or a week or something? It's really never more than a day.
Definitely not. Also, I like looking at my eBay saved searches, even if I'm not buying anything. I just like to see what comes up on eBay. I like to watch the auctions end. even if it's something that I'm not even considering buying. But what about this? Is there an advantage to taking some time off from searching marketplaces and come back? Take a week off and then come back. Is there an advantage to thinking about the way you curate your collection if you do that?
Maybe just like what I said earlier about kind of forces yourself to have more patience and lets you stew on some idea you've had. Whereas if you're checking eBay, you're more tempted to, like I said, just sort of like buy something just for the sake of buying something.
Right. Yep. I think that's where I would go with it too. You'll have to be a lot more. You'll have to come up with the card that you're searching for on your own, rather than letting sellers who list their cards on marketplaces dictate the selection that's available to you.
Well, we went through, you're still probably like more deep into this stuff than I am, but we went through this phase during the boom where we were kind of like looking for cheaper players or something to kind of keep us engaged, because we couldn't necessarily buy the big expensive MJs and LeBrons for a couple months, couple years. But like I've kind of found myself now back in the LeBron kick. Like I'm just basically back where I started on what I'm really passionate about, LeBrons and Penny Hardways. And so I find that you kind of, if you reset, to circle back to that question, is like you end up kind of getting a refresher on what you've always liked from the beginning anyways. You kind of, you get a refresher on the distractions maybe you've had over the last few years.
Sure. All right. Now, a follow-on to that came from EnjoyCards_IG, who says, I would actually be interested to hear this topic talked about from the addiction perspective.
Yeah.
I think addiction might not be talked about enough in the hobby. The majority of collectors are probably quote-unquote dudes. and as a segment of the population, we don't have a great track record of dealing with our feelings or talking about them. And given the recent changes with the card market and the hobby, it seems to have become more gamified in recent years and thus more likely to play a role in somebody's gambling addiction. So, well, there is another stream going on right now.
I was going to say, you want to watch that gambling addiction play out? Yeah, I mean, I can confidently say I'm addicted to sports cards. I'm not addicted to the gambling aspect. I don't think you are either. Just sort of like addicted to the chase of having the best collection.
Bingo. Exactly. And finding ways to do it especially when like you're doing LeBron or something, when you're up against billionaires.
It's hard on the street.
Right. And just trying to find like ways to still do something interesting and unique and make a great collection that would be hard to replicate. That's a big part of the challenge, I think.
I think you can still make the best of something even on those top players. Like if you had a few grand, I think I've been watching, I always pay attention to the Galactic sets. Like I just love Galactic and I don't own any anymore and I've dabbled in them before, but man, if you wanted to just like have all the best LeBron Galactics, I don't think it would be that too crazy difficult. It's like you could have the best Galactic LeBron collection, which is like, you're not going to have the best LeBron collection. I never will. I'm chasing billionaires, like you said. So, you could just kind of make your own niche within the niche.
Yep, that's a big part of the fun. I almost this is going to sound absurd and laughable, but I almost sympathize with the billionaire because they don't get that. They can go buy any card they want. The most difficult thing for them is just like, am I going to get killed overpaying? Because they can overpay anytime they want. There's the challenge, the constraints, which produces the satisfaction. It isn't there for a billionaire. To the same extent, it still is. Like if you were a billionaire and you wanted the ultimate vertical Logoman RPA 1 of 1 LeBron from 2003, nobody knows where it is. So there's a card that you can't buy your way into. If you wanted a PSA 10 52 Topps mantle, like maybe you could buy your way into it if you're willing to pay however many tens of millions. But if you're in the perspective of just a person of more ordinary average means, it's a lot harder to and it's more satisfying once you've accomplished building an impressive collection.
Yeah, it would be kind of boring to just being able to buy whatever you want. I say that, but I would welcome it. Send me all your money, but I got your back.
Exactly. That's where, like, what I said could sound really stupid and ridiculous. I will gladly take the billions and not get the satisfaction of having it harder to build a good collection.
If I gave you $1 billion and said, go get a green PMG MJ, what would you have, like a plan of action, or would that be still like a pretty difficult task?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I'd probably try and contact the Heritage one. Like the other week we were going through that.
It's still on there. Yep.
That's where I'd start.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. Did we comment further on this notion of addiction?
I don't know. Are you addicted to sports cards? Is your name Chris? So do you have a problem?
No, I don't think so. I just watched.
Are you watching this? Just watch the numbers. The live just ended. You could tell.
Yeah, I'm writing down the names of all you traders.
Dude, that's what I was just gonna say. Now I know that South would rather watch an exquisite case rip than his friends, so that's good.
He knows
Put the little-
we'll still be here for another hour and a half, be answering your questions.
He's probably like, I've heard you answered that great question 10 times now. I don't need to.
Right. Well, oh wow, look at that. 50 people come back.
So I'm saying,
Welcome back.
here we
You guys-
come.
You guys missed the best 15 minutes of crossover that we've ever done, and it got garbled.
And that's how I made my millions, everybody. You missed it. If you weren't here, you missed it.
610 Sports Card says, I watched the breaks. Fight me at the National. All right.
I think he's got the reach on us. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, and I know he'll be wearing comfortable shoes as well, so I'm going to be at a big disadvantage.
And so that was the summer that Chris and I discovered the billions in that briefcase, and everyone that was in the chat gets a cut. Everyone that wasn't up until 30 seconds ago does not get a cut. That's
Right. Yep. Sorry, guys.
Look at all these comments just flooding in. It's like, you know what it is, Chris? It's the guilt of not being here. They're like, now they feel like they got a comment and be like, oh, you guys are so funny. Yeah, we know, but you missed it.
South says Sam's break had two good polls for the 2006 Exquisite. Tyrus Thomas and Andrea Bargnani were two.
Number one pick. He was the number one pick.
Yeah. And then I saw from his flawless case that he had Trae Young gold vertical, number 4 out of 10. So basically it says
Trae Young 2018 flawless. Is that one any good?
yeah, it's pretty good.
They're promoting the pity comment, so it's working.
I feel the urge to say something about the fact that somebody just opened $100,000 worth of products on a live stream here. I don't know what to say about it though.
That's a lot, right? Is that what we're estimating? Is that what the chat says? 100 grand?
Yeah. I don't know. That was the estimate of the net loss.
So they opened 2 cases of '06 Exquisite and 2018 Flawless
Yep.
case.
Yep. Yeah. So,
Nope.
better,
I don't have those balls.
better luck next time.
Yeah.
But it sort of fits with this topic of, are we addicted to sports cards? Are you addicted to sports cards?
I said I was earlier.
Okay. And do you feel like that's an issue?
It's turned out pretty well for me so far.
It's an addiction that leads to good results.
If I didn't get addicted to sports cards, I'd be working at Amazon dealing with managers and PMs all day long. So I think I'm all right.
Well, here's the definite. Hey, the definition of addiction is the condition of being addicted to a particular substance thing or activity. So that's very helpful. It's a helpful definition.
That is not helpful.
Addiction is defined as chronic relapsing disorder characterized by compulsive drug seeking and use despite adverse consequences. That's the thing. Is like I think that's the key part of the definition is that you keep doing it even though it's bad.
I think that opening cases of Exquisite is probably having adverse outcomes.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to questions. Let's get back on track. The people that stuck with us are like, yeah, don't stop the show for these bums. Keep it going.
Fair enough. Okay, next question is from AP Cards 23, who says, I appreciate you hobby warlocks. What does that mean?
What's a warlock? Isn't that bad?
Male witch.
Male witches. Okay. Getting away on vacation has helped me finally see the sense in consolidating my collection. Round of applause. So that I can focus on the cards that I love. So I've got a pile of low-value graded cards to sell. I can relate to that. The tricky part is I live in Australia. So from your exposure across the hobby industry, is there any path or consignor that you would recommend to someone overseas? Because I'm so far from the main market, should I just try to deal them all in a trade to a dealer on social media? Should I go through the slow process of selling them individually on eBay? Or should I find an international friendly consignor? And if that's the case, I'm not asking you to name the best, but are there a few that you find suitable for collectors who are on the other side of the world? I found some popular ones. I just want you to put all the details on a slip of paper. And I just want to put all the details on a slip of paper inside the box of cards. And I just find that too hard to do on a trust level.
Well, let's go to the chat because I don't have any like specific ones that I know or like international. People in the chat are saying COMC. But I don't see why, if you can find a way to ship it to any of these consignment companies, whether it be an auction house or an eBay consignor that you trust, I don't see why they wouldn't, if they can figure out how to pay you, or you might need a middleman service or something to ship to, but I don't see why there's an issue shipping from, I've had lots of stuff shipped from Australia to here.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat says Cherry Collectibles. I know they're really big in Australia. Maybe chat with them, see if they have any advice.
Grayson.
Yeah. So there you go. I think those are some good options. Yeah, I think it's difficult and annoying, but if I were in his shoes, I probably would just put him in a box and go with the consignor after doing a lot of research and finding out which one's process I'm the most comfortable with. And in terms of finding a good consignor, like one way I might go about it, after you can do some Googling, asking around, word of mouth stuff. I don't think we want to necessarily give any one consignor like I don't have the experience to give any one consignor a nod over the other. But if I were trying to find one, I'd probably go to eBay, look for consignors who sell a lot, try and get some feedback, see what their feedback's like, etc. But I would also want to talk to them and stuff. I don't know, just your normal due diligence stuff, right?
Yeah, I think the thought of sending it to a consignor is because if you tried to sell it yourself on your own eBay in Australia, you might have it might be a pain to ship all those individually around, or being limited to only shipping them to Australia might have some issues. So that's maybe why he's thinking that way. Because I would never undervalue just like selling it yourself on eBay, but I get the constraint of the international.
Yeah. All right. Iowa Dave says, yesterday at a local card shop, I had a conversation with the owner, who happens to be in his 70s and is a great guy. He said he thinks that modern mass-signed player autographs are asinine because an autograph only means something if you get it yourself from the player. Although he's more than happy to sell them as the card shop owner and make a profit. What do you think of his stance?
He's saying only in-person autographs are worth something?
Yeah, he's saying that like these pack-inserted, widely autographed cards don't mean anything because you didn't get the autograph yourself from the player.
Am I alone in thinking I'd rather have the opposite than the in? I think that I get what he's saying. Maybe like on a purity standpoint, like you're as a fan, you know, it means more to you to get it signed directly, and that's sort of like how you would prefer to collect autographs. I get that, but as like a card collector, that is not correct. It's more valuable to have the pack inserted because of the licensing, the fact that you have proof that it was signed by that person through the trading card company, whether it's Panini or Upper Deck. There's a lot of value in that. Those companies put their stamp on it. They describe on the card, you know, that this was sent directly to the player and returned to us, or it's in the presence of the player, like stuff like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Because in-person autographs are a little more risky.
100%. Yeah, and they're purely personal. It's like I get the purity point of view here, which is that like, why is an autograph valuable in the first place? And I think like there's something to the idea that like an autograph being like a human being putting ink to an item is meaningful because it symbolizes that you were with that person for a moment in time. So like I get that concept, but from the point of view of like collecting cards, like in cards that have been autographed by players, witnessed by the manufacturer, and then inserted into packs is a really important part of what the modern day card catalog looks like. So I just don't think that I don't think we're going to get away from that. But I'm not a big memorabilia card guy. I'm not. I'm not big on the autograph cards or the patch cards. So.
But he did say in the question, mass-produced modern. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's mass-signed player autographs. Modern mass-signed player autographs.
Yeah. Because Lamine makes a joke in the chat. He says, need to make sure those George Pickens and Cam Reddish autos are authentic. And I think that that is kind of interesting to think. If there's like mass-produced of a younger player and there's just tons of sticker autos all over the place, is it really that interesting or valuable to have one of their autographs versus like getting an actual in-person from that type of person? Because when I think autograph cards, you know, I'm thinking MJ, LeBron, and Mickey Mantle and stuff. So I get, you know, like the mass-produced does make it a little bit less desirable.
For sure. Rookie Patch Auto has a simple question. What was your most exciting sports card pickup ever and why?
Ever.
Yep.
You go first.
Yes, I have a good answer to this. Christina, do you want to think about this question too?
Sure.
Okay. So mine, this is really easy for me. I've given this answer half a dozen times, but I'm just going to pretend like there's somebody in the audience who has tuned in for the first time.
I'll be shocked for you.
Okay. So within the first month or two of coming back to collecting, I gathered up the courage to try and win an eBay auction. And I was in between college and law school, had no real income to speak of. And so $100, $150 was a meaningful wad. And So but I got my courage up and I decided I was going to win a card on eBay, and it was going to be a Michael Jordan scoring case.
My favorite.
Of the infamy of last week's episode. And so I was actually standing in my driveway at night, like getting out of a car, and it just so happened that the auction was ending then, and my heart beating in my chest. I could feel it pulsing like in my wrist. It was just, I was so nervous to put in my max bid. But I did. I put in something around $150 or so, and I won the auction. And the thrill of winning my first auction and of winning a card that was in an amount that I never thought I would spend on a card of $150 was every single card purchase since fails to measure up to that experience. It really does. Every single subsequent card purchase it's a little bit off from that one.
Yeah, see, I thought you were going to go with one of the MJ Grail stories, car dealerships or police stations, or, you gave the guy the cash and he went and bought a car right after. I thought you were going in that direction, but I like this one better.
Yeah, that's a good story, but the thing that made me feel the most excited, there's no doubt, was this one.
Yeah, it makes sense. Or I thought, you could have picked like that card now, looking back, is like obviously not in your top 20 of like most exciting individual cards, but you're talking about like the pickup and the feeling of like taking a leap into the hobby.
Right. Yeah.
I like it. Well, I'll do my version of that story, since I like that. I like that idea. When I bought the 98 gold PMG penny, that was my first card I ever spent more than $1,000. And it was like that moment where you realize, am I doing this? Am I going to spend $1,000 on a sports card? Because if you do, you're sort of like admitting that you're in this space now. You're going to have to keep going, and this is kind of what you are now. And I bought it from Grant Waldorf Stories. I had posted on Blowout. It was like, what are your 2 dream cards? And I posted that and like the 05 LeBron Finest Gold. Those were like my 2 favorite. Those were my 2 big favorite cards from afar at the time. And like that afternoon, Grant texted me. He's like, I actually have one of those. He said it's your Grail card, and I'll sell it to you. Geez, I got one. And so I was like thinking about it all day. Am I going to do it? I went to a friend's house, and I was like, dude, I think I'm going to buy this card. He's like, card? What, sports cards?
Yeah.
And that friend is actually coming to National with me, so it's kind of come full circle. He's in the hobby now, so that's a fun story for me.
Nice. Love it. That reminds me of a later question that I'm going to fast forward to after this one. Christina, do you have an answer that you'd like to give here? The most exciting sports card pickup you've ever made?
So.
Nope, don't even start yet. You have to come over here.
So, like, I was going to say the PMG Red Jordan, that everyone knows that story of the car dealership that Josh was talking about. But you guys went into, like, a full different, like, nostalgic, like, meaningful thing. And while that one's important because that one, like, felt like we had taken a step into, like, legitimate Grail collecting, I'm going to go with something that's completely different than both of you guys, but it's more on par with me as a degenerate pack ripper. The first big card that I pulled ever was from a 2015-16 Don Russ basketball box.
I know what this is.
And we were ripping it. I bought it off Amazon because I didn't know any better.
What?
Yeah, no, for serious.
What?
And I bought this box off of Amazon. Don't buy boxes off Amazon. But, and I opened it, and it was, like, June. Rookie of the Year had just been announced. And I pulled the Elite Dominators rookie of Karl Anthony Towns auto out of 25. And, so he had just been named Rookie of the Year. It was, like, we looked it up in Beckett. It was that and the Kobe of the same insert set were the most expensive cards of the entire product at like $250 for way back when. And yeah, I would have to say that one because every time I rip a box, I have that moment of like, I'm going to pull the best card out of this product and like it's gonna be awesome and I'm chasing that high. So yeah.
Great story. All right.
Does everyone still have those 3 cards? I have mine.
No. Nope. No, we do not. I definitely sold all of them. So you still have yours? Was it graded?
I bought it as a BGS 9, cracked it, had it raw for like 2 years. That was back when I only collected raw cards, and then I graded a PSA 9.
PSA 9? Holy shit, I was going to say PSA 3 or something. Okay, that's cool.
Well, this was before the strictness took over. I graded it like 4 or 5 years ago.
Before the tightening of standards?
Yeah, now you get 9 autos for, microscopic streaks.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, that leads me into this next question here. Because I was just sort of thinking about your story and talking to your friend about cards. And so Mick Wildcat says, in the spirit of Pride Month, I am wondering if the hobby would benefit from its own coming out movement in the sports card hobby. Maybe we could 5X the hobby by having the courage to come out to our coworkers, to our friends, to our families about our love for cardboard. And who knows, maybe some of them are closeted collectors too.
I mean, that happened years ago for me. It feels great, guys. Feels liberating. I feel like people finally see me for who I am now. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good strategy for telling people about cards because, like, especially back when I was like circulating resumes to try and get a job at a law firm, and you need to list your hobbies, and I have no hobbies to speak of except for this, or at that time, like playing pickup basketball, So no, I have to like list something that I do, as a hobby, and like I have, we had the House of Jordans podcast and stuff, so like there was substance there. Like, yes, I actually do things in my spare time besides just lay in bed and watch Netflix, although I did a lot of that as well.
You did a lot.
And so I can't read that comment. So I would put, hey, I have a podcast about sports cards. And of course, that's the one thing anybody wants to talk about. Like when you're in law school, you do this after your second year. No, after your first year. After your first year and your first summer event, externship thing, you come back and then you interview with a bunch of firms. Like rapid interview, 20, 25, 30. Okay? And so I'm just going through these rapid fire interviews with all these firms, and every single one of them is like, "Oh, you have a sports card podcast? What's that mean?" And it's just like I'm mortified. That's the worst. That's my worst nightmare. Is like, God, I have to talk about cards to you guys, so that when I leave the room, you can say, "Wow, look at this dork." And so, but I think the way that I've sort of developed dealing with it was I would just come out with it and just be like, "Yeah, it's a very sophomoric, nerdy hobby, and it's a little bit weird, but it's what I do, and I love sports and love collecting these cards. I did it as a kid, and I do it today." And then, like, when you frame it that way, half the time the other person would come out and say, like, "Well, actually, I collect miniature figurines," or so, and they like lots of people have things like that maybe they can relate to if they understand that that's okay to say it. So that's kind of the way that I've learned to talk about it, is just being self-deprecating about it.
Yeah. I was thinking what Justin in the chat said. It's usually spending a few minutes clarifying. No, cards, not cars. And they're like, oh, it would be really cool if you collected sports cars. I'm like, yeah, well, that'd be also very annoying to figure out where to store all those cars versus cards. I put them in a box.
Like Jay Leno, like you've got a garage full of
Yeah.
cars?
Well, in the last 2 to 3 years, if you come out with this information to someone, they usually are like, oh, aren't those pretty valuable now? I heard, sports cards are worth a lot of money. Are yours worth a lot of money? Ooh.
Yeah, no, it's completely different now, for sure. I'm talking about this would have been 2018. Yeah.
Yep.
Or 2019. Well, something so in that range, 2019. All right. Next question here. Let's go to a question from Stiff Arm Wax. Stiff Arm Wax says, did you guys hear that Baby Gronk rizzed up Livy Dunn? Who do you guys prefer, Baby Gronk or Baby Diggs? The world needs to know. Hallelujah, holla back.
I still don't understand this.
Are you hoping that I know what he's talking about?
Exactly, Josh. Exactly.
Look, Baby Gronk is a social media phenomenon.
Okay.
And Baby Diggs coming up fast on his heels. So Baby Gronk is Baby Rob Gronkowski. Baby Diggs is Baby Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
And but Baby Gronk has gotten exposed lately because his dad was really pulling a lot of he was the puppeteer of the whole thing. He's kind of feeding him what to say and stuff, and being very aggressive in messaging podcasts and stuff, trying to get Baby Gronk onto these shows. So basically, now who do you side with, Baby Diggs or Baby Gronk?
These are the children of these people.
These are somebody's children, but I don't believe they're related to Rob Gronkowski or to Stephon Diggs. I think those are just random.
Well, I feel like people are saying that Baby Gronk's dad sucks. He's running the show. Well, that kind of makes it easy, doesn't it? Baby Diggs, right? But isn't Stephon Diggs having some issues with the Bills and stuff?
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Baby Diggs' dad is even worse, and he just saw the Baby Gronk blueprint, and now he's got Baby Diggs going on that blueprint, but because he's climbing up the ranks fast now.
This is just so over my head here that you're talking crazy.
I'm surprised you're even giving this time, Chris, because it's about kids.
Who do you pick?
I don't pick either. This is so stupid.
Cowardice.
You might only get one shot at asking a question on this show, and you never know if we don't come back to your questions again if we get one of these. You got to be careful.
Who do you pick? Who do you pick?
You're making me pick? I thought I said Baby Diggs.
Okay, you say Baby Diggs. I'm going with Baby Gronk, but that doesn't include the dad. No dad. Straight up Baby Gronk
I
also.
still don't know what Riz means.
Okay. And Christina opts out. All right, next question.
I'm going to pick Baby Jokic because she was the winner of this week, all right?
There you go. All right. Next question here from RJ Friends. Please discuss any post office horror stories that you might have when it comes to mailing cards.
I bought a card and picked it up from the post office, got in my car, opened up a taped box. Inside the box was a bubble mailer that was ripped at the bottom, and there was two cards that I bought together. One of the cards was just gone. So someone had opened the box, opened the bubble mailer, pulled out the more expensive card, put the bubble mailer back in the box, retaped the box, and sent it on its way.
Jeez. Yeah, it's awful. I don't have any.
Oh, good for you. Knock on wood.
I can't think of anything, to be honest. But almost every big card I've ever gotten was me and Christina driving to the place and doing the deal in person. So
I have another one.
yeah,
Cover for both of us. I have two. I bought a Penny Hardaway 97 Rubies, the good one, and it's the one I have today, so it ends well. So spoiler alert. But John, Spur fan at Tech, John Burleson helped me acquire it. He had it shipped to him. It got lost at his post office. It was lost for like a week or something, and I'm just like, oh my god, what the heck? And he obviously felt terrible because he was trying to help facilitate it, and then he was like calling the post office, like yelling at them and trying to get it or whatever. And he calls me and he's like, dude, the guy just like found it sitting in a box somewhere in the post office. It was there the whole time. It's on its way. No problem. I hate that stuff. I'm sure that happens to a lot of people where they just gets lost in the post office for a week and then it just randomly shows up and the tracking's back and it's like, oh, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that would be infuriating. That would be absolutely infuriating. It's not anything near a horror story, but a few times I've had the postal worker leave a note, hey, we have your package, and then I'll drive up to the post office, like they missed me, It's like I drive up to the post office, and the post office like, well, the carrier's still on their route, so you can't pick it up right now. Come back tomorrow.
The next day. Yep.
Well, but the last time that happened, I said, well, how about I just go track down the carrier? And they said, fine, you can do that. And just make sure you have your ID on you. And so I was like, well, where are they on their route? And they said, well, they're right here, in this neighborhood. So I drove to that neighborhood and I kept driving around until I found them. And then I flagged them down. I said, here's my ID. And they gave me the card, my package.
Well, you just gave the chat some bad ideas on what they should be like. Friggin' postal workers should be running for their lives now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
The post office, the mailman's biggest threat is now card collectors. No longer dogs.
That would be funny. Like we just kind of saw this post office truck going through a neighborhood, and there's like 3 cars sort of trailing behind it.
Well, I'm picturing he's going down like a main road at 45 miles an hour or whatever, and a car just like pulls in front of him and sort of like makes him pull over to the side of the road and stops and gets out, and the guy's like, oh my god, he's gonna rob me. And he's like, you got my card in there.
That's hilarious.
I would just like to point out that Mark says, you're an addict when to that story.
Dennis says it's like chasing the ice cream man. Well, the ice cream man's easier to find because he's got the music playing. This guy is just like stealthy. He's sitting there driving little friggin' postman truck. Those are quiet.
As I was sort of getting into the vicinity of the truck, my nasal passage sort of flared. I could almost smell the cardboard, and it sort of just started pulling me towards the truck.
God.
So it was only a real collector knows about that.
This just like gives me strong vibes of like you're gonna go rob this guy. Like, where is he on the route? I'm gonna go flag him down.
Right. No, yeah. I to me personally, I wouldn't be recommending that if I was the post office, But maybe they knew that it was going to happen either way, so they might as well just lean into it. So I don't know. All right, I believe other people have gone through this as well. I don't think I'm the first person to do this. So Ryan Bitter asks, what are the most underrated hashtags to use to find epic cards on Instagram? Do you use hashtags to find them?
I've found that if you search like straight English words with spaces and not like perfect hashtag searches, I'm getting decent results. If I search LeBron space exquisite, I get hashtags of LeBron exquisite, LeBron, like different types of exquisite searches. So like it's actually something changed. Or like my Instagram search results are quite a bit better. Do not search who do you collect. That's every card ever. Gotta get a little more specific.
Yeah. I think you can save searches of certain hashtags if I'm not mistaken, right? I think I have.
I don't. Yeah, I'm just saying like you don't have to search perfect hashtags anymore. At least in my experience.
Okay, no, it's good to know. I mean, I know that I have like certain hashtags like saved because sometimes like cards will come up of that player. Like I think I'm watching hashtag MJ cards or hashtag Michael Jordan cards because I'll have my
Yeah.
feed come up with stuff that has that hashtag of a person I don't follow, right? So
People are confirming in the chat. You can search multiple words. Like go later tonight or tomorrow. Search Jokic Gold space
nice.
with a space in between. I bet you'll get some good stuff.
Damn, that's sweet. Okay.
That's how I tracked down one of my LeBron exquisites. Like I just saw an account that had posted like 68 weeks ago. Message them, do you still have this? Like I found it through that, and they're like, yep.
Oh, that's great. All right, good to know.
See, look, this
Okay.
is worth some value.
Yeah. Only had to wait 73.
You only had to listen about, robbing freaking mailmen at car.
You gotta put in work. All right. What are we doing here? Says, what are your thoughts on eBay limiting breaking on its platform starting on July 18th? Would eBay? Why would eBay turn down all the fees that they've been making from breaks and from breakers?
You got to explain this one to me.
Okay, so basically the background here is that my understanding.
You always do that. You do this. You're like, it's clearly something I don't know about, and you just stare at me like, answer, dummy.
I mean, I think this one. I think what's going on with this one is eBay sent out an email to the community that said they are no longer going to be allowing just anybody to sell spots in breaks on eBay. And this is going to start as of July 18th. So on July 18th and afterwards, only select approved breakers will be allowed to sell spots and breaks on eBay. And I've seen a lot of people talking about this on Twitter and across other social media platforms, and they're pissed off about it because there are people who have built businesses around using the eBay platform to sell spots in their breaks. And now, it's only going to be available to a select few. And apparently, from word of mouth, from what I hear, the criteria for who's going to be allowed to continue selling breaks is only the very high volume breakers. So that's the background on it. And now the question is like, why would eBay do this? How does this benefit eBay to basically take sellers off their platform?
Well, my guess is that it's no longer worth it to them to deal with the risk of people selling break spots that are not following through. Because that seems risky, right? To sell something not tangible through eBay that's like a promise, basically, that something else will happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like selling an NFT on eBay. I don't have to send it to you. I'm just freaking, oh yeah, I sent you a picture of my NFT. It's yours. Like this isn't work. You have to send me your ETH address. This is wrong.
Yeah. So like this, I think, is a consequence of the increasing corporate attention being paid to sports cards. Like this probably doesn't happen 5 years ago, even though the industry was still pretty big then. But now, how big is the sports card industry on an annual basis? Like probably revenue-wise, 10 billion is a rough estimate. It's basically the size of the entire NBA's revenue, which also was 10 billion last year. So that's how big the sports card industry is. And I think like we've seen a lot of things happen once the sports card industry became so important. We've seen eBay authentication step in. We've seen lots of it. We've seen eBay roll out a vault. We've seen them implement a lot of things, pay more attention and give more attention to monitoring, developing the sports card, trading card segments of their marketplace. And so, like, to your point, Josh, I think that they must have made a calculation. They must have looked at it carefully and made a calculation that this is the better outcome. And then I just wonder, does this create an opportunity for an entrepreneur who is willing to take on the risk, who has a much larger appetite for risk than eBay? Is is this an opportunity for somebody to develop a platform that's dedicated to selling spots in breaks for people who are no longer desired on eBay? And I think it is. I think it's going to be rough and annoying for those people for the foreseeable future, but I think there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, I just think of when PWCC got booted off eBay, they used that opportunity to be like the first real main auction house to kind of be on their own website, their own platform that they controlled. Because a lot of the other auction houses were on these like shared ones. I know Heritage has their own, so they weren't first, but like Golden and some of these other big ones were on this like shared platform that a bunch of companies were using, and PWCC took that and like made their own and stood it up very quickly. So you're right, there's an entrepreneurial opportunity here.
Yeah, I think so. And then maybe that's the best outcome for everybody. So, all right, because I don't think eBay is particularly optimized for
exactly.
this situation, but somebody could optimize the platform for it. All right. Let's go to so did you see the meme that I posted, the Dumb and Dumber meme?
Nope.
From Publius 13?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, a few people took exception to our...
Did we say Jambalaya sucks? Did we say Jambalaya was overrated? I don't think we did. We danced around it, but I don't think we said it.
I thought we went the other way in Jambalaya.
Well, I posed it like, oh, some people may think Jambalaya is overrated, and then we both agreed it's not.
Yeah. No, I think Jambalaya has become underrated. Okay, but let's save the pumpy talk. Let's just go to this question here. Just and then hey, we can take it how we take it. This is from Tasty Card Sandwich. I just realized that username may have been a play on Panini. Okay. I was thinking about the Jambalaya question from last week and how Josh mentioned that they don't appeal to him as much due to not being serial numbered. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like we sort of like got into it, and I said maybe because they're not serial. Yeah, but I think maybe it was just me then that said they're slightly overrated.
Well, I'm one of the biggest serial number simps out there, so I'm going to take umbrage to this question. It says, I feel like devaluing 90s inserts because they're not serial numbered is like devaluing the accomplishments of old greats because they played against quote-unquote weaker competition.
Plumbers. The word is plumbers.
Chimney sweepers is what you mean. I don't think we should blame great cards for the era that they were released in. Greatness is greatness. So what if 90s cards like Jambalaya don't have serial numbers? We know that they're rare. We know that they're hard to get, and we know that they are cool looking. That should be enough.
Well, as a person with money to spend and options to choose from, if I had to choose between Jambalaya and another insert that was serial numbered, I just prefer the serial numbering. That was the question. I don't think we're saying that these are bad cards. Obviously I have lots of insert cards that I think are neat and aren't serial numbered.
Yes, I think that's one of the funny parts about this question is that I think you have been a pretty open-minded or even supportive person of non-serial numbered cards, whether it's Ultra Stars Gold or the Galactic Parallels. You've always sort of or the status die cuts and stuff you've always had more of a penchant for them than I have. Is that fair?
Yeah, I like Jambalaya. I think Ultra Stars Gold is probably my favorite, pound for pound 90s card, just aesthetically and everything. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I get the point. Just because the card doesn't have a serial number doesn't open and shut the case. You can have a great card that doesn't have a serial number. That's a really fair point.
I think it's yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What do you have?
No, I was just gonna say you and I are at the point where we're getting so deep into it. We just we almost need the serial number to keep track of things. We need to know how many exactly there are, and documentation purposes, it's helpful for us.
100%. I really want to know how many were made, and I just on a visceral level, when I see the serial number stamped on the card, it improves the card for me. It really does. I love to know how many are out there, how many were made. That's like important. It's very important to me to know that. So
if the Jambalayas were serial numbered out of 300, someone's gonna flame me on pack odds and mathematics, and it's actually they'll say 300. Would it make that card more valuable to you?
you're saying, like, suppose there really are 300 out there?
Yep. Like, is there a threshold where it's like, man, 300 is a lot.
Yeah.
I was hoping less. Now you actually made it less valuable to me because you put that on there.
Yep, 300 would devalue that card for me, without a doubt.
Like the what's that one card that has like the computer chip on the front, and they're at they're numbered at like 1,500 or 1,000 or whatever.
Yep, 1,000.
Does that devalue it? If they were unserial numbered, would you think that they're more valuable?
That's a great one. I still love the fact that Take-A-2.net is serial numbered. That would put that card into a different category for me. Here's a good example. So I have both years of the Stadium Club one-of-a-kind Michael Jordan. They're both numbered to 150. And funny story is that both copies that I bought are the same numerator out of 150. Just
wow.
Happened, but that's cool. So those cards are not nearly worth as much as Noise Boys, Jambalaya, Ultra Stars Gold. Like, they're not even regarded. They're like a clear tier below market-wise. But I love those cards, and I prefer them strongly over the unnumbered inserts. I think part of it is because I just really like the rarest base parallel, but another part of it is that I really like the serial numbering aspect to it. It really matters to me.
But not Jambalaya. You said Jambalaya 300. You wouldn't want that?
300 is too many. If it was like 90 or 80 or 125, I think I can live with that. I think that preserves how I perceive the card right now. If it was 50, then that would massively increase the appeal of that card for me.
I feel like the Jambalaya is probably somewhere between 100 and 200.
Yeah, that's what I've come to think as well. And like that factors into how much I admire and appreciate the Jambalaya set. One set that's like sort of in the gray area is the 1996 Ultra Platinum Medallion, which it was stated on the boxes when they were released that there are less than 250 copies of the card, and I believe Beckett Magazine backed that up at the time. So like there's a gray area where like the print run is stated, but the cards are not numbered, but it seems pretty consistent that there's 250 or less.
The Ultra Stars Gold has like insanely ridiculous pack odds. I don't know if you've seen, like, someone did a post on Blow Up back in the day that was like the rarest pack odds of non-serial numbered 90s cards, and I don't know if Ultra Stars Gold was number one, but it was like to get a specific player, it was like 1 in 50,000 packs basically. Like if you wanted an MJ Ultra Stars Gold, it was 1 in 50,000 packs. It's crazy stuff, crazy numbers.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. Great thread. That old nugget.
Like 1 in every 2,660 packs, you get any player, and there was like, whatever, 20 players in the set or 15 or whatever it was.
Yes. All right. Let's go to a question from Jordan's Cards 41. Jordan, shout out Jordan, who would like us to let's discuss Dirk Nowitzki's fraudulent omission as the greatest performance in playoff history.
I told you it was him that submitted that question. I knew it.
You did know it. What can we say about Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 playoff run?
He went through a gauntlet of superstars. Didn't he beat Kobe, Durant, and LeBron in 3 straight rounds?
Yep.
Who was the first round matchup? I thought that was a big name too. It was like he just went through like a crazy.
I think it was the Spurs.
So yeah, it's like the vaunted Spurs. Then Kobe, the defending champs, swept them, and then beat Durant, OKC, and then went through LeBron. Like, it's crazy. What are you What's your question?
Yeah, no, there is no question. It's just so like there's there was just some Dirk people who were not happy that I made a
The
list.
math didn't work out.
Yeah. That the stats didn't work out.
Like, but it's like it's not like you made that list of like your favorite 25. It was like a sorted mathematical. So they don't like how 2 + 2 is 4.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. Like, so, and some people took issue and said, well, these metrics don't really take into consideration the difficulty of the opponent.
Mm.
So, but no, I hate making like there was a list that came out of the top 100 football players this week, and there's nothing objective about this list. It's just a list of 100 guys, and then a bunch of honorable mentions, and then there's like 2 sentences about each guy, and that's it. It's just here's a list, discuss. Whereas when I do a list, if the thing that can be criticized about a list that I would make is the approach is wrong. You're using the wrong metrics, or you're valuing them in the wrong way, or that's but the list is what the list is.
Yeah. Well, any like advanced stat or list, I hope Eddie's in the chat, just like crying himself to death right now with all this talk of math teacher numbers. Whenever that list or that advanced stat ends with like MJ as number 1 and LeBron with 4 in the top 10 and like Kareem and stuff, I'm like, this list's pretty good. I mean, we kind of like know those guys are the best, and the list lines up. Like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, the thing that stood out the most to me, so like LeBron, all 4 title runs in the top 10. MJ, all 6 title runs in the top 25. Bird and Shaq were the only players to have at least 2 title runs besides LeBron and Jordan. That's it. 4 guys have top 25.
That's crazy.
And then Tim Duncan, his 2003 title run was 7th best, which was eye-opening to me because his regular season metrics were great, but not on the level of these other guys. But that playoff run was like, top 10. And that gave me a different, newfound respect for Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I think that maybe that individual ranking of Duncan at 7 is kind of what made the Dirk fans annoyed. Is like Dirk has that same kind of, he's probably like top 20 all time regular season, playoffs combined. He doesn't really stand out regular season statistically as some of his other guys, but he had that one amazing run where he just like ran through all these amazing teams, won his only championship. It's a very meaningful thing for those fans. So they just want like to get recognized for that season.
Of course, yeah. And I totally get that. Yeah, so Tim Duncan in the 2003 playoffs, he averaged 25 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. And his win shares per 48 was the 7th best all time among title runs. And his BPM and his PER were 10th all time. I mean, when you have a double-digit box plus minus of 10.2 and a player efficiency rate of 28.4, and then your raw numbers are 25, 15, and 5, plus 3 blocks, I was really impressed by that. Because, like, the Duncan mythology is I try to learn about basketball from the vantage point of today, not having watched it for a big chunk of what was Duncan's prime. This impressed me a lot about Tim Duncan because it doesn't really show up in the regular season numbers.
So now do you think he's finally better than David Robinson?
Dude, if you factor in the title runs, David Robinson didn't have a title run close to that. So, let me tell you that right now.
Robinson's got the crazy advanced stats for regular season.
Yeah, Robinson had multiple absolute MVP, not he should be a top 5 candidate, as some people sometimes say, MVP caliber. No, he was the statistical MVP for multiple seasons in the 90s. And then so the flip side to that is David Robinson has the 10th, the 9th, or the 10th best regular season all time. Yeah, the 10th. He was tied for the 10th best. His 93-94 season is tied for the 10th best statistical regular season of all time. So,
well, you didn't get to celebrate your Jokic championship yet, but he showed up second on this list. And what do you think about him compared to Duncan?
I think 5 titles. It's just a lot of titles, man. That is a lot of titles. But, one thing that was kind of wild, so it didn't make the top 25, but Manu Ginobili was in the top 40.
Mm.
And that was a Duncan teammate, right? So
it was interesting to see Anthony Davis not win Finals MVP and end up 10th. Basically had 2 guys in the top 10 from one season.
Yeah, no, but I was thrilled to know that because LeBron's 2020 season was a few ticks better than Anthony Davis's, and they got it right, and they gave the Finals MVP to LeBron. They gave it to the right person. So that was nice to see. But yeah, Anthony Davis was very, very good in those 2020 playoffs. But whether it's like qualifying for the Olympics. You might be 1/100th of a second off of qualifying, but you didn't make it. And you might have been very close to being as good as LeBron, but LeBron was the best player in those playoffs in the next series.
I'm sure there's swimming races or track races where you get the second fastest time of all time and you get the silver medal.
Right. Yes. Exactly. All right. What else do we have here? Oh, Cards and Candy 911 makes a comeback.
Back. Cards are cheap now. He's back.
Well,
Buying.
He's got an agenda. All right. So he's from Denver. And his comments this: what are your thoughts on people discrediting this Nuggets title run by bringing up their opponent's seeding?
Didn't he beat Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, the Heat, who are 3-time conference?
You can say Jimmy Butler. Come on, say Jimmy Butler. Come on.
The Heat culture, Udonis Haslem. I mean, they went.
The same Heat team.
Udonis Haslem.
The same Heat team that dominated the East. Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't they took out Giannis, and didn't the Lakers were the number 2 statistical rated team after a certain date, after the trade deadline, wasn't it? The Lakers were no joke towards the end of the season. So it's not like my point isn't that those teams are necessarily juggernaut teams. It's just relative to their seeding, they were better. The Suns had injuries all year. They weren't necessarily trying to get a 1 seed. They picked up Kevin Durant at the end of the year. They were clearly better than the 4th seed. Lakers are better than the 7th seed. Heat were obviously better than the 8th seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I mean, this is the thing for Cards and Candy, for anybody who's following the discourse, and this is the first time that they've rooted for a championship team, or the first time they've really cared about
you're gonna say
championship narrative, is that there is no unassailable title run.
Yep.
Every championship has an asterisk.
You've made it. You've made it when you got haters about you winning.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, look, you could look at it. There is validity to the fact that they played 2 teams that had to qualify through the play-in. There is validity to the fact that injury luck helped. So, in the first round against Minnesota, Jaden McDaniels was out. Naz Reid was out. Those are 2 of their top 7 rotation players. You take 2 of the top 7 rotation players of any playoff team, they are hurting. And then Ryan Anderson Slow-Mo also missed a few games as well.
It's the 8th seed, though. For the first round. You're supposed to roll them.
But that's still a bit of injury. Second round, Chris Paul goes out in game 2. And then you have a Suns team that's very new. They had only had Kevin Durant for 8 or 9 games or something like that in the regular season. And then the Lakers also, still a new unit, a new core. A team that had only played a month or 2 together in the regular season as a unit. And then you get to the finals, and you have Jimmy Butler, who, to his credit, won't acknowledge that he was playing on a sprained ankle, but he was. Their shooting was terrible when it had been great in the previous rounds. Dude, every champion gets lucky. Every single one of them. So
Yeah, as a LeBron defender, like I'm used to, like, you know, every championship LeBron's ever won, people are discrediting, the bubble championship, and then the you know, Draymond suspension, and, you know, the Ray Allen 3. Like, there's always something where it's like, you know, they shouldn't have won that year, right? Like, you always have to have some things bounce your way, and like you said, there's never like a perfect 16-0 run. Those like Warrior teams are kind of stick out to me, like the early 2000s Lakers. Like, I'm not sure there was anyone really gonna. But other than that, like, it's tough to win a championship. There's lots of good teams. You got to beat good teams. You got to have a little bit of luck. That's how it goes.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question here from HRayR.D. Who are your favorite NBA players under the age of 23 who are not really talked about?
That's a small list of players to choose from. Who are not talked about. Do people talk about Victor Wembanyama yet? Has he ever talked about? Okay.
Good question. I don't know.
I like, the only one that's popped in my head so far is Cade Cunningham. I think he's 22.
Yep.
Injuries.
Yep. He missed the whole season basically with an injury.
Keegan Murray, I thought, was pretty impressive. Like, I thought he was one of their better players in that against the Warriors, and like Sabonis didn't play well, and a couple other guys like shrunk, but I felt like Keegan Murray played well.
Here is 538 Raptors top 10 players who are in their top 10 regular season last year, who are in years 1 through 4. Tyrese Halliburton, number 1. John Morant. Oh, yeah. John Morant, Darius Garland, Austin Reeves, Cam Johnson, Desmond Bane, Walker Kessler, Emmanuel Quickley, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Suggs, and then let me just go a few more here. Herb Jones, Franz Wagner, John Conchar of the Grizzlies, Sam Hauser, Nick Claxton, Alperen Şengün, Jose Alvarado, Trey Jones, Lou Dort, and Trey Murphy of the Pelicans. So
Cam Johnson's like 27 years old. He came into the NBA at like 24, I think.
Okay. Yeah, so he's obviously not under 23, but he is in year
Halliburton's 1 through 4. Under 23? Halliburton's like 24, right, at this point?
Halliburton is going to be close.
I would have put him number 1 on this list. That guy's awesome.
Yeah, he's very good. Halliburton is 23.
Well, he said under 23, though.
Right. So, yeah, under 23 is really young. How old is Anthony Edwards?
He's 22 now, I think.
Yeah, so Anthony Edwards is phenomenal. He's 21. Anthony Edwards will turn 22 in August.
But he's talked about a lot. That's why this list is hard. It's like under 23, not talked about a lot. It's like 20 players.
Yeah, that's a great point. Walker Kessler doesn't get talked about a lot, but the metrics love him.
Dude, freaking Bill Simmons had him like 25 on his trade list. Did you hear that? He like rattled through the names. He just ran in the middle of it. He's like, Walker Kessler. I'm like, what did you just say? Walker Kessler, 25? He had like LeBron at number 40. Just for some perspective, like he rattled through those lists so fast, so I could barely like pay attention. But I heard him say Walker Kessler.
Right. That's that. There you go. Okay. The Pelicans. There's 2 Pelicans who showed up on this list: Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. And both, like, a lot of people wonder, like, why are the Pelicans even? They're still a decent team when Zion isn't with them. Yeah. And when Brandon Ingram doesn't play, they're still like somehow competing. And it's because they have these young guys who can play defense and shoot threes. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are those guys. And those are interesting players to watch. I haven't watched them a lot. I don't know if they're going to turn out to be anything or not. But for them both to make the top 20 in 538's Raptor ranking for last season is pretty impressive. What about Şengün as well? Like he's very young.
I haven't watched. I just haven't watched the Rockets.
Yeah, can't blame me for that.
Like I know his post moves are solid. I've seen some clips of like his footwork and stuff. So
yeah, Şengün is 20. he'll be 21 in July. All right.
wow, that's young.
Yeah, he's very. Fresh Finds 101 says, what player would you like to see your team pick up in the offseason?
Turn on the TikTok camera, Kyle. You like that one?
That's good.
I saw this somewhere, and I sent it to Chris Cards KC. Him and I are like the depressed Suns fans together. We just like message each other during the Suns games. And I sent it to him, and I was like, I kind of like this. And he was like, it's terrible. You're an idiot. So I hate it. Draymond Green.
Turn off the TikTok camera.
For the Suns. How good of a fit would he be for the Suns?
Yeah.
Like
so,
they needed someone with size to play defense and have toughness and like get that team sort of like basically like the anti-DeAndre Ayton. They needed some more toughness inside, some defense, and someone who could like distribute. I don't know. I feel like that was a pretty nice fit, and I just couldn't think of anything else. So that's my answer.
That's fun. That's a fun answer. Yeah.
Kyrie Irving for the Suns. What do you think? You guys like him over there?
Please. You can just give us back like.
Torrey Craig. Yeah. Yeah, Torrey Craig.
Oh my god. I don't know, man. I don't like to get into all this stuff because, like, dude, what are the odds of my team landing one of these free agents? Like 1 in 100? Like, not good. So this is a hard one for me to really get into. I can tell you that the prototype of what I would like the Mavericks to do is fill out this team with guys who could shoot threes and play defense. That's what I would love to see Dallas do. For Denver, just fucking keep the core.
Right.
I
know. I want the Suns to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's on the Bucks right now. You ever heard of that guy?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Just like completely unrealistic. Yeah, I'll take that guy.
Yeah, he's not bad. I don't know if he's going to be available. All right.
Well, he's like third on the trade list now, so Simmons is first. He's second. I didn't get to the end.
Yeah. He's second. Giannis was second on the trade value list. All right. Drake's PC says, if most people only want to pay 75 to 85% of the last comp, does that have a positive or a negative impact on the health of the hobby overall?
Oh, man, I'm not good at these questions where it's like this butterfly effect thing. It's like this happens, then, like
right.
We used to get these questions with like, oh, what happens if the distributors have their prices too high, and then if the breakers, like these multi-step processes. I'm not sure.
Well, can we first celebrate that Drake has not only turned the corner, but now he's questioning whether people are paying too low for cards. So we are in a new era in the crossover.
Well, this is like maybe this goes to your, you need to let certain people have margin with like grading cards and having some extra cash to spend to put it back into the hobby, because we know that dealers are generally going to, if they're paying for something at 75 to 80%, they're likely going to take that money and buy other cards with it, use the profits to kind of continue through because that's their job. So like there may be some benefit to that.
Yeah, fair. And hey, if everybody is only willing to max at 85% of the last comp, literally everybody, then card prices are just going to decline, right? Like this guy pays 85% and the next guy pays 85%. That's going to be a fast slide. But I think this is to treat it more realistically. I think that this is more like like noticing those like buying posts in the Instagram or in the Facebook groups where it's like, hey, I'm buying these players for 75 to 85% of comps. And like one of the reasons why they do that is because they know that if you try to sell that card on eBay, you're going to have to pay 13% or whatever in fees to the marketplace. They know that. So they know that you're not going to get 100% of a comp if you sell it on a marketplace. So I think that's part of the strategy there. And then, you know, there's like, if buyers on social media are not paying what you think your card is worth, you always can just send it to auction and really figure out what it's worth, right? So,
well, notice they're not saying I'm paying 87% of comps.
Yeah, well, there's still definitely they're still trying to build in their margin. Let's say they're definitely still trying to do that. And I'll tell you this: they ain't turning around and selling for 75 to 85% of comps. They're selling it full.
Nope. I'm the guy who pays 120% on everything because of fucking buyer's premium. So I'm the guy that pays way over.
Yo, what do you think the result would be if you went onto one of the Facebook groups, like maybe the LeBron card group, and you were like paying 120% of comps?
I say that every time I post, overpaying LeBron exquisites. I fucking just send me the comp and I'll pay more than that.
Nice. Nice. Does it work? Is it effective?
No, it never works. Does it work helping you find Jokic one-on-ones?
No.
So there you go.
So Rodman has entered the chat. Hello, Rodman. Would you like to clarify this sleeping in the same bed thing that I may have seen Rodman post?
What's the post?
I'm pretty sure on a card porn post, Rodman said that you and he shared a bed.
No, shared a room.
I believe he used the word bed.
Well, he's wrong because I would never do that.
Okay, well, there you go. I just wanted to clarify that in case anybody saw.
My kids might watch this show someday, Chris. Come on.
Hey, look, sometimes people are different cultures. They get close to each other. Yeah.
Are you saying South Americans do things differently?
Not saying one way or the other. But, foot to mouth, same bed, it's possible.
No. It was a two-bed situation.
Two-bed situation. So, Rodman, what are you trying to do, man? It was two beds.
Hey, he's trying to really get me in trouble with fever.
Yeah, he says he slept naked. Okay. Next topic. Moving on here, Rodman. Do you have any comments on whether or not it's appropriate for people to share rooms at the National?
If you have to share a room with someone at National, maybe you shouldn't be at the National. Is that the take?
I think that has been interesting.
Was that the most rejected thing posted on Instagram that you've seen in the last year, where like the vast majority was like, no, that's crazy, you're wrong?
Yes, I think it was. And there may have been another one in the recent past, but that speaks to the tyranny of the Instagram story, in which the Instagram story is like your echo chamber. There's nobody who can leave a comment on it that anybody can. I mean, they can message you, but if you can get trapped in your Instagram story and just fire off some takes that, like, if that take ever got removed from the Instagram story and placed into the public discourse, I might find myself having a story that only 5% of people agree with, but because it's in my story,
that's what card porn's for, because he made it a post and like every comment was like, you suck, you're wrong, I share several rooms with lots of dudes.
Yeah. I mean, dude, the price of hotels. So here's I don't know if this take ever really came out. So let me just give voice to it now.
You're gonna take sides of the separate room thing? My God, you're gonna be the only one.
I am going to go the other way hard. I'm going to say the less people are spending on their hotel rooms, the more money they have to spend on cards in the card show.
So by that logic, we should be 10 dudes to a room.
That's Rodman's dream.
Yeah.
And on that is indeed the comment that was the most rejected thing that I was thinking of AA collectibles. That's the one. Right.
How do you say beds in Spanish?
How do you say it in Italian?
No tango beds.
Yeah, so I'm all in favor of the most budget as possible being allowed commas.
Cama, C-A-M-A in Spanish. It's let go.
No tango commas. I don't have any beds, so you got to share them.
Fair enough.
I like your idea, the bathtub.
Yeah, look, man, the tub is option. If there's 2 beds and those are occupied, I'm going tub. Is my
Isn't the tub where you sleep during like wartime, like crisis? You know, the alarms are sounding, you jump in your tub. Isn't that a thing?
There you go. Yes,
Also,
Safety.
tornado. Yep. It's a stronger structure.
Well, historically speaking, the way that they construct tubs today, are pretty cheap. But yeah.
Historically speaking.
Maybe these hotels got like the high quality, like porcelain tubs.
Maybe. All right, Christina, since you're over here,
Yeah.
there was a question. Nice job. There was a question directly for you from Cardi C Sports Cars. Why don't you come and answer as we wrap up the show here? Come on in.
Mercifully.
Take your perch. Mercifully, yeah. Right. Make your answer as long as
Cardi
possible.
C Sports Cards. I have a question for Christina. Is it easier to collect a less popular player, parentheses Maxi, or an expensive player, parentheses Luka? And which is more fun? Well, okay, this is a little difficult because Luka is my main PC, right? So that's more fun because I enjoy watching him more. And it feels like you've accomplished something when you finally get one of his cards because I collect only certain cards of Luka. But Maxi, it's to be honest, there are 6 of us now who collect Maxi.
Ooh, let's go.
We're growing in numbers. Be careful. And I'm always fighting 2 other Maxi collectors for cards that I want, and it really pisses me off.
All right, fair enough.
So it's not that much fun anymore. It was a lot more fun when I was the only collector.
I think Cardi C will enjoy that answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Oh man. So Rodman says that Cage says, sell all your Joker cards now. This is the peak.
Yeah.
He wants you to win.
Yeah, no, all right, there's layers to this. But I think first of all, on the first layer, he's right. He is right that the peak already passed. If I were to show you the card ladder chart for a card like Jokic's Donruss PSA 10 rookie, here's what it looks like over the let's see what stamp. Let's do a year. Okay. So here's the card in question. Jokic's Donruss PSA 10 rookie. And a year ago it was around $300. It was pretty steady at $300. It shot up to 900 range here. Leading into the finals and in the finals, but it's already come all the way back down to $700. So this Jokic Donruss rookie is, let's see, how high did it get? About $900 down to $700. So it's around 25% off from its peak already. And that's like not even remotely surprising because Jokic had never been discussed as a champion or as the best player in the world on the mainstream stage until then. That was the first time that ever happened. So, like, yeah, a bunch of people are thinking about him. There's this little rush on his cards. Well, now he's out of the media. Now people aren't going to be talking about him every day on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and all the talk radio. He's going to be out of sight and out of mind, and that's going to have a deflationary effect on his prices for sure. So, like, that's the first level, is that Cage is right about that. But the second level of it is that Cage was never really a fan of Jokic. He never really liked him, and that's okay. I wasn't always a fan of Jokic as well. So, you know, that's a factor here too, is Cage like, look, I'm not high on this guy. I don't see this guy as having appeal in the hobby. So, like, the second level of this is like, not only is his market going to correct, which it is, but also he doesn't even like the market at all, period. And so he's giving that advice as well. That's the level that I disagree with. I like collecting Jokic. I think he's a great player to watch. But the first part, I totally agree with it. The first level is right. Dude, his market is going to correct big time.
I will give you $700 for your collection. No, it's not $700. I'll give you $700. You figure out how much. That's $100.
I'll have to think about that one.
All right.
Let's pick a name for this episode.
Right.
Here's what I had written down. Is your patch better than mine?
Well, he didn't pull one, so I win.
Yeah, that's definitely right. Hobby puberty. I'm addicted to sports cards. I sympathize with the billionaire. Male witches.
What?
That's not
Last
bad.
week we were like on the Taylor Swift tour, and this week we're witches. I think we share a room at the National.
Yeah. A meaningful wad. Taking a leap into the hobby. I think that's what that says. I can't read my own writing right now. And the last one is you just gave the chat some bad ideas.
You missed so many, but that's okay. There was like 10 that I saw.
Oh, well, anytime you guys want to start writing them down, feel free.
True. Well, I thought Nick was writing them down. Well, he writes them in the chat, and we can't scroll that far. He had a few that I thought were good.
I try to get most of his, but
Yeah.
What was the one that Justin, Lauren, and Stiff all wrote at the same time?
that was a meaningful wad.
Yeah.
It was meaningful one.
You guys both wrote a meaningful wad?
That's the one that stood out to me. What was the first one again? No, the second one.
Hobby puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really like the word I never liked the word puberty. Wait, Jose, what was your question, man? He says I snubbed his question.
But you like the word wad?
Rodman is voting that this be called roommates.
Jose, send your question back into the chat right now if you can, buddy, while we make our choice.
You just name it roommates, 2 words, all lowercase.
Roommates? 2 words? It's not 2 words, it's 1 word.
I know, but it's funnier that way.
Roommates? No, that doesn't
Yes.
sound good. That doesn't sound right.
Funnier that way. No, I know, that's the point. It's funny.
Well, I'll put it into the list here.
He says it's the first comment on the post.
Okay, hold on. Don't get an attitude with me, Jose. I know that you're a big fan of Vegas Dave, and I will expose it.
He went through all that work. He could have just typed the question out in the chat.
Jose just wants a freaking Vegas Dave auto, okay?
Hey, look.
Let him live.
Stiff got it. Roommates with a rainbow symbol.
Okay. We're taking that one to a level that it doesn't need to be taken to.
Broke back.
Stand by, Jose. I'm scrolling the comments.
You can sort it by newest. And
Look at that. Everybody's the driver. There it is. Oh, this question. Fuck this question.
What is it?
Fucking this question. You know what you're doing, Jose.
Jose, J.
No, don't try to take over my job just because you finished yours. Thank you.
I finished yours.
You did also finish mine. I will.
You're welcome.
Let me begrudgingly read this question. Since the Nuggets championship, how many people have DM'd you inquiring about the Nikola Jokic Prism Black 1 of 1, wondering if it's for sale?
And how many people have offered less than $800?
Jose, the question is 0, because nobody wants to collect that fat tub of lard.
That's not true.
So just stay off of that topic. Nobody wants to discuss it.
Fat Tub of Lard's a good title.
Yeah, that's not bad. People will think it's in reference to me, but that's fine.
I vote roommates, 2 words, rainbow emoji.
No, first of all, it's already offending my aesthetic preference that we have to take one word and turn into 2. But the emoji, that's just a bridge too far.
Fine, I'll settle for roommates, 1 word, rainbow emoji.
No, we're going to go the other way. We're going to go roommates, 2 words.
Yes.
We'll do that, all right?
Compromise, my friend. Compromise, just like roommates have to do. They have to compromise.
Compromise is the way. All right.
You guys share a room at National?
What if that was our real master plan the whole time?
Yep. Sorry, Christina. You are on your own.
Or there also may be a tub available.
Yeah. Christina's going to be really upset about having her own bed to herself.
2 collectors, 1 bed. That's our cue to end the show. We will see you
2
guys.
collectors, 1 bed.
See you guys next week.
We're reaching the top.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just 1 click.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.